Welcome to A Woman's Brew, where women talk about beer. This week's trending topic of conversation at A Woman's Brew Studios 2026 Trending Predictions. I'm Joanne, and this is Tori.
Hello, hello.
And we're two beer-loving women on a mission to get more people drinking and talking about great beer. Come join us. Right, we're going to look into our crystal ball and see what trends in beer are going to happen in 2026.
Yeah, it feels like the right time to have that conversation, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, we've just done our reset of our goals. Yeah. We've just cleaned house. And now all of a sudden it's like a nice new refresh. People may see, depending on how much the video actually gets captured, we got new microphones. Thank you to the guild because winning that award, you know what I will say, it's deviation from the conversation we're going to have today. But I will say that, you know what, the guild, the money that you get from winning a guild award, it really is a lot to change, to help improve the content for us. If you're like, you know, the citizen, you know, best new or citizen beer communicator, it's really helpful for somebody that, you know, doesn't make money off of the platform that they do, doesn't have sponsorships, doesn't have all that. Therefore, you know, we've been working with microphones we had since we started.
Yeah.
And I think I bought one new one that was like a cheap one, and it broke. And I was just like, great. Now we've got real proper adult microphones.
Yeah.
Thank you to the guild.
We got new fancy ones because my old one was fancy. But I'd had that. I was podcasting with that before we started the podcast. So
yeah, and I'm assuming
7 years,
that
maybe.
The one that I got probably was purchased at the same time because it was gifted to me by someone that you did recording with before, and it was so greatly appreciated, even though it was just like, you can have this because the audio quality is so bad. And then I was like, oh, I'll take it, that's great. And it was really good and really useful, and it saved us money from having to buy anything, because I think when I first started I bought like a 20 quid microphone off Amazon just to get started, which is why the quality wasn't great. And so with that guild money so far, we were able to do a nice new reset and nice new professional people microphones. So I guess we invested. We did. And that's also, apologies, because you'll probably hear like everything under the sun in the background.
Because we've got really good microphones now.
And it's the first time that we're recording with it. So now I've got to like remember, if I can hear somebody outside the room or something, like quickly go on mute, because you can hear everything. So before we get into it, what are you drinking? What are you drinking and why? I don't really have a why. I don't know why I said that.
I am drinking Boston Lager from Green Duck. It's very good. It's a Helles, 4.6%. The reason why I picked this will become apparent later on as we talk about things. But I thought I'd start with a lager this evening. It is a crispy boy, and I'm enjoying it. You know what?
Both of my beer selections are accidentally match with similar to what we're talking about.
I picked based on what I knew we were going to talk about. So
I didn't. I was just like, what do I feel like drinking tonight? I am drinking Queer Bruins Pride Pills.
Nice.
And it's because I bought some over Christmas, and I was like, actually, I want to drink it before, like I want to drink it as soon as. So I was like, I don't want it to just sit there and then be like, it's a lager, I'll drink it later. And then before I know it, I'm like, it's past its best before date now. I'm drinking it. So that's why I picked that. But actually, coincidentally, probably does fit into the theme that we're talking about, which is good.
It does. It will, which will all become clear.
Yes. Speaking of 2026, and before we get into like the trends, have you looked at all over the weekend? I did life admin. I don't know if you did life admin. I don't know what you got. Like, if you looked at all, I've started resetting my setup for the goals. So if you listen to the last episode that was released, we talked about like trying to find a new way to make things easier. I talked about that. One of my goals was streamlining. Did you look at any of your things? Did you come up with anything new since then, or is it all still?
No.
This is for context. This is coming out 2 weeks later, but that does not mean that this was recorded 2 weeks later.
We recorded about 3 days ago. So
Yeah.
no, I have not. I mean, I already have thoughts of how I'm going to do it. So I want to set up a spreadsheet. I actually did that before Christmas because I also want to do one for my reading. I did a little mini course on making pretty Google Sheets.
Oh, making pretty Google Sheets.
Yes. So it's not just like, so, you know, Google Sheets are nice and functional, and it's free and you can access it easily on your phone, blah, blah, blah. But like, people make ones that are like very pretty and colourful, and you like, your charts were already set up and your data then just feeds into it and your chart magically populates. Or they have ones that are like, for example, wasn't why I was looking at it, but like, you can have it so that it runs as a course, or, you know, it's like a checklist for a course, or you can have a really pretty budget one. But I wanted to do a reading tracker one, and I was like, oh, making it pretty sounds like fun. So I did this little mini course, and I'm thinking about doing that for my beer one as well. But I haven't done it yet. But
I'd love to see what it looks like.
Well, once it is done, I will share with you. But I would like it that I could feed the data into it from a Google form. But I've not yet had a chance to experiment with that and see if it works. But that's my plan.
It's interesting because I could whip that up if it was Microsoft, like a Microsoft list to, you know, like a spreadsheet. Like, my brain can cope with that. It's the translating it to Google, which I think is like the biggest.
It's basically the same.
It's just because I've never done it that I'm like, oh, I need to play around with it and see what it looked like and everything. But yeah, when we talked about it last time, I was interested. And I've only one day back in the office since we had the conversation on Friday. So not really got a chance to actually talk to anybody about what we talked about during that episode. Go listen to that episode. But I did start trying to lay things out in the way that worked best, which was just having a Google Doc where I had listed, and that's kind of where I was tracking stuff like the alphabet and the fruit and the countries. It's all just because I had it so easy to like go in, change the color to what quarter it was, and list it out and just make it really, really simple and easy, versus what I had was a spreadsheet that had the name of what it was that we had called the thing, and then all the details, and then like, okay, when did I have it? When did I do that? And I think that that's what made it, is that analysis paralysis, is like it was too much, and then I like stopped. So I tried to like streamline it back and just simplify it, where I was like, I'm just going to put it in a Word doc. And as part of relisting all the things, I set it back up again, like I did with the fruits and the countries and the everything else like that. I haven't gone through all of the goals of like the Katie's Beer School Challenge ones and the Women's Brew Challenge ones and stuff like that to put those in yet. But I've got everything else set up, and streamlined some of my goals, like rewrote them so they make more sense and they're shorter and easier versus my brain dump. But I also added a new goal. I know that I normally like to stick with like 5 or less, but I added a 6th one. And that was that I wanted to make sure I was visiting at least 6 new pubs or tap rooms intentionally. So like, as part of that goal that I had, which was to be more intentional with my consumption, part of that, even though I've kind of broken it out into a number 6, is I want to intentionally visit 6 new beer drinking businesses, whether that's just like a really nice historic pub somewhere, or like a tap room of someplace I'd never been to before. Ideally someplace I'd not even heard of before, not just a place that I'd not been to, but I'll count that as well. Just because I was, you know, I kind of want to, with my goal of doing less takeaways and just kind of drinking the stash I have, but also drinking out when I go places, I want to be able to support, especially now, what we're going to talk about, some of the trends for 2026. And obviously everyone's just like, there's a lot going on in the world. You have to be more budget conscious and cost conscious. And I know from like a business perspective, they probably have to be as well. So if I can spread the love and go to new places that I'd not gone to before, and that's what's in my control for the bits that I can do. So I've added that in there. So if anybody has any recommendations for places to check out, that's cool. I would love recommendations of new places to visit, especially if it's like dog friendly and you can do a day out there, and you know, there's stuff to do around the pub or whatever. Like, to me, that's ideal. I know I started for us ages ago a Google map in our from the Women's Brew. of where it's like if we got to if we found a really cool pub that we would share with other people, adding it on there. But then I didn't do that much with it. But I'd like to try putting things back on that. Just a place that we know that we've been to that we would recommend to people, that feels inclusive, that feels welcoming, that could use the business, and just some place that you would want to tell a friend about, like adding it to that list. So please definitely recommend if you've got any tap rooms, because like I said, I did add that as an extra little goal that I went back and thought that would be cool. So yeah, nice. I did also ask people in my stories about, like, can you summarize the year, your predictions for 2026 in one word? And I had some like DMs and some comments and everything. And I'll say the reason I was asking that is because I added another challenge sort of to my list of things I was doing that I thought was interesting, that I thought I'd share with you, which was, but Katie's Beer School had like a list of themes. And when I saw that, I thought, like, that's really cool to have a year of themes, because it would be interesting to just have, I kind of took that and I went, what would be cool is just have random words generated. And then you try to match a beer to that random word. And then I thought I'd take it. So I kind of asked ChatGPT, like, give me just 12 random words. Just give me a bunch of random words. And I'm just going to pick and choose, not necessarily beer related. And then I'm just going to chuck them across the months and see. And then I kind of took it one step further, where I was like, what if I did it for predictions for 2026? And I thought that would be more interesting. And then I thought, well, I'm not going to ask ChatGPT or AI to like generate me that many words. I'll just ask people I know to give me their one word answers. Doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, just one word. I'll throw it in there and I'll try to make it work, with the caveat of my January is reset and refresh. When my birthday month is, I've put birthday break, like birthday as the code, and then December's reflection. And I think I probably will continue to do this now each year, where January will always be a reset and refresh, November will always be a birthday, December will always be reflection, look back at the year, and then all the other months I think I'm just going to try to get random words that potentially symbolize what the prediction for the next year is going to be, or like hopes and dreams for the next year. Doesn't have to be like an actual prediction. So I thought I'd share on here, because people were probably like, why were you asking for like specifically one word? Yeah. People were surprisingly positive. I was expecting, after I hit send, I was like, shit, this is going to be a dumpster fire, isn't it? Like, I'm going to get lots of really negative words, because if it were me giving the one word predictions, I'd be like, oh my god, negative city all over the place. And I got some really positive stuff that I was really pleased with. So I haven't collated the full list yet, but it's not too late if you want to send something by the time this airs. It will probably be way too late. But
how many do you need?
I don't know if I am actually sure. I need to go back and look. Oh. But by the time this comes out, it will be too late. But I'd love to know people's one word predictions, because I think it'd be fun to put it all in a word cloud for the end of January to just be like, cool, what's everyone's predictions? Whether it be trends, whether it be beer related, personal related, world related, and then just be like word cloud it and be like, what was the most popular word? What were all the words? So yeah, thought I'd use the start of this podcast to just say that.
Nice.
Now into the trends, I guess.
Yeah, trends. So we had a little look around, see if we could find trends for beer in 2026. Now, when I started looking, a lot of it was American beer. But I think we did find some stuff that relates to the UK eventually.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing was, and it wasn't all, even some of the ones that we're talking about aren't necessarily related to the UK, but just beer as a whole. A lot of what I found when I was looking was all like really niche to certain areas, or I was like, I'm not sure who this is, so like I haven't vetted who these people are to be able to be like, yes, let's use those predictions. But yeah,
there were a couple of articles that we both found that were from very reputable people.
Yes.
There's one from M. Salter. You might know her as Pints and Panels, for Forbes. And there was one from our friend Lottie Peplow. Hi, Lottie. We read your article. It's great. Do you want to talk about M's one in Forbes?
Yeah, it feels like it makes sense to go through M's ones first. Yeah. And we're going to like share the links to them.
Yeah, we'll put them in the show notes.
I just thought it'd be interesting. I don't want to like rehash the whole article because I want people to actually go and read the article.
Yeah.
But I think some of the key points on it, I had some notes that I took down that I thought were like interesting discussion points as well that I thought would be cool to talk about, which is she kind of points out in the article that I think this was based on the US numbers, that half as many breweries had opened in 2025 as had closed down. And that sales were down 5%, which was 1% more than in 2024 when it was 4%. And there was even a comment about the German market also having like slowed down. And that's quite a scary thing because obviously, like, we know in the UK, we feel, bit like drinking to some level, I feel like is quite ingrained in the culture, but maybe not necessarily like craft beer drinking or beer drinking as a whole to the same way that it is in like a German market. And so like that can look really scary when it's like, oh my god, like a German market where everyone's so with beer is such a core part of that identity of the culture that's slowed down. That's scary. But this whole article's focus was that despite these numbers, this is potentially quite a cyclical pattern. It was pointing out research from Beer Marketers Insights that basically this was a pattern that, 20 years ago, this same pattern was happening. And so it's all quite cyclical to say. And they pointed to the likes of, Guinness, for example, having, been popular, then slowed down for a while. And then like Guinness became popular again. Lagers, that had been popular, slowed down. And now some people are deeming it 2026 as the age of the golden lagers, and they're coming back into fashion, which again accidentally picked a lager to drink, which was great. You intentionally picked a lager to drink, which is great. And then there was another interesting point that I thought was made before we actually get into discussing these things. There was another interesting point I saw that was made, which was, I think a lot of times what's talked about is Gen Z, if you want to talk about it, was contributing to the lack, their lack of drinking was quote unquote like killing the breweries. It was killing the market for beer and drinking and tap rooms and businesses because they weren't drinking as much. Therefore, they were promoting more quote unquote healthier lifestyles and they didn't have that interest. Therefore, like, oh yeah, these businesses were suffering. But this article actually kind of says, no, that's not really the case. It kind of was saying that they still do drink. It's not to a level that's really necessarily impacted it in that way, they don't believe. And there was a really, really good quote from a brewer and co-owner in one of Oregon's breweries, Gold Dot Beer, which was Gen Z, or Alpha for that matter, are just a little too late to mature is all. What we need to do is make really good product and host a really good time. And so that was what I thought was interesting on that, as well as the way I interpreted it, as well as it's not that Gen Z are necessarily drinking less per se, but they want that experience. They want that experience when they're going out and drinking. It's not just about the alcohol, but about the experience wrapped around it. And that has the emphasis on the experience. And the final point that I'd kind of noted down from that article that I thought was really interesting as well was that there were mentions that for some businesses, they were starting to see that return coming back post-COVID. Like they were starting to build up, and that return to business was kind of starting to come up post the COVID times of people wanting to go out and socialize around a beer and do those things again that had dropped off because of COVID times. So those are all the big points. Like I said, I didn't want to read it like verbatim, and I didn't want to give too much away because I want people to read the article. But those were some of the key points, discussion points that were in it. I have talking points about some of those things that I wanted to get into more, but I thought I'd give sort of the high level of what was in there so that people would understand what we were talking about. But yeah, is there anything, I mean, I guess from your perspective, anything I missed, anything that you want to talk about first and foremost about that article?
I mean, we've talked about Gen Z before, and like if you didn't hear the episode where we talked about that, when I was in the US last, I listened to a talk from a beer economist, and he was talking about various different topics in the US that are affecting breweries and beverage providers. And from their research, they've actually, like, some of the key things where people are going, oh, Gen Z aren't aren't drinking as much anymore. Some of Gen Z aren't of drinking age, so you can't actually blame them for not drinking because legally they're not allowed. Also, as you said, they are coming to alcohol later. My friend at work pointed it out quite well. Like she's got, and that's from over here. Like her son, she's having to like encourage him to go out to parties and because they're so on their phones, on videos, on social media, that's so forefront in that generation's life. Like they are more reserved because you do something. When we did something stupid when we were teenagers, everyone thought it was really funny. They talked about it for a bit. It was forgotten. These kids are being filmed and it's going on the internet forever. And so they are more reserved and they're not going out and doing crazy stuff because it could end up on the internet. So they're coming to alcohol later in life, later in life, air quotes, just not as young as the rest of us.
Just not
as young
pre-drinking.
And they're looking for flavour. And they're looking for flavour, they're looking for experience. It's not just tinny in the park. It's something that has good flavours, something that's interesting, something they can experience with friends in an interesting environment. So, that's the difference. And it is different from when we were younger, and it has made a slight difference to alcohol, but like beer's not really going to go anywhere. There'll be ups and downs of the industry, but it's not going anywhere. We've just got to ride it out, I think.
Yeah, I think the other part of me as well, that as you were talking and you were talking about the changes between like, when we were younger versus like Gen Z were younger and everything, I wonder if on some level as well, at least coming from like a female point of view, and when you talk about minorities in like beer drinking and just like drinking settings in general, like if some of that is also related to like, I have to protect myself, I have to be, to be safe. I think historically people didn't talk about the dangers of what, those type of dangers that can happen on nights out and stuff like that as much. It wasn't as open because there was a stigma that like, it was your problem, you did this, you asked for this, we talk so much more now about things like drink spiking, and there's more support in place there. But it also, rightly so, I'm not saying that this is not, rightly deserved talking about it, but there can also be like a fear level that comes into play as well, because obviously the more that you're out doing that, the higher the risk that could happen to you. And I wonder if there's more education that's happening now with younger people. And so maybe they are a little bit more reluctant to go to certain places as young as maybe when we were younger, and that wasn't something as much in the forefront of minds. You feel invincible. I wonder, and I can't speak to this because I'm not in that position, but I know I'm eternally 25, but I wonder if some level, I think when you're younger you feel invincible, but I wonder if younger generations now don't feel quite as invincible as maybe we did back in the day, because more stuff is talked about, more stuff, there's more media coming at you left, right and center as well for you to consider and think about. And like you said, you do something dumb, it ends up on the internet forever, even when you try to remove it. So I do wonder if that plays into the late drinking. I know that's not the topic of this article, but it was interesting to me how often, and when we talked about this the last time as well, and you said about the podcast you listened to, how often people are so quick to blame Gen Z of like, oh, they don't drink and therefore that's causing the decline of this. And it's like, also like, it's not.
There's more, they've got more options than we ever had. Like, there's ready to drink cocktails you can just pick up in a can. There's THC infused drinks, energy drinks. Like they don't need alcohol. They just have
non-alcoholic options.
Options. There's so many different things that they can choose from. Like, when we were younger, it was cider, horrible lager, beers your granddads drank, or mixer and a spirit. Mixer and a spirit. Like, or when I was coming of drinking age, hooches. So there is a wider choice of things, and especially in the US, where marijuana is legal. Like, that is a different, relaxing option. There's different things now.
And it's more easily accessible, I think, in that way of like, to get these alternative options, the legal alternative options, that's all I'm focusing on. To get those alternative options and to get the better tasting things. Like, you can go, even when it just comes to beer, like in the UK, you can go in a supermarket and you can get a decent low alcohol, no alcohol option in a supermarket. You can get, like you said, cocktails in a can in a supermarket, and the selection, like in Tesco's, for example, is a whole chunk of shelf of all different types of cocktails and different brands and everything. That it's not something that you have to settle for my mum's, my mum's cupboard of stuff, and then you're like, there's nothing tastes good, it all tastes,
and you haven't just got, like, it's not like you've just got to buy a bottle of vodka. Like, you can get a couple of different ready to drink cocktails and try different things. You're not committing yourself to an entire litre of a spirit that you haven't tried before and you don't know if it's any good.
I liked that the article was kind of talking about it in a cycle as well, because I think a lot of times I hear people talk about it. It's like on Reddit and wherever else, people talk about, the craft beer scene is dying, it's dead. The bubble has burst. It is no more. We got too big for our boots. All of us got too big for our boots. Too many places opened. And actually, people have decided they just don't care about craft beer anymore. And like, the amount of times I've seen that narrative, and I truly didn't personally believe it. And I understand the figures show, like I said, half as many places are opening as is closing. And I get that. But I think the focus when people talk about it tends to always be on the places that are closing. They're like, what was the number? It was 400 and I want to say 50 something. I don't have it literally open in front of me, but the focus would be, and that's awful. I'm not saying it's okay. It's sad. It's the people impacted. You feel for them. But they also talk about in that article, like, there is a variety of reasons why these places are closing. It's not just people don't want the beer and that's why they're closing. Like, that's just not the reality of the situation. But people will focus on, well, that's 400 plus breweries closing. They don't go 400 plus breweries closed. We're really sad about that. But here's all the new breweries that have opened up this year. And I very rarely see, here's the new breweries that have opened up. I just see the tracking of the breweries that have closed. Yeah. And that's what I think sometimes drives that narrative of like, people just don't care about beer anymore. More places are closing every year at this alarming rate. And that's the focus. Rightly or wrongly, I'm not saying that's not the right thing to focus on, but it can create this narrative in people's minds that like, oh my God, people don't care about craft beer anymore. They're just over it. And I didn't see that being true. And I think this article is really making the interesting point about it's cyclical. Like, this happens, it goes through these cycles of, it gets tough and then these things come back into favor and then, such and such happens. Do you agree with them suggesting that it is the year of the golden lagers, the age of the golden lagers?
I don't know. I feel like whenever we predict that, like, we've been trying to make, it's the summer of lager and stuff happen.
We're trying to make it happen.
Like, people have tried to make these things happen. Be like, maybe in the US it's golden lagers. I don't know whether it's golden lagers here. I felt
very specific golden lagers as well. I was like,
that did feel very specific to me. And like, I don't know if we here in the UK are far enough away from golden lager yet for it to come back around.
I would love a t-shirt that says "Stop trying to make golden lagers happening." They're not. It's not happening. I would say, as much as I kind of agree with your sentiments about the golden lagers aspect, and maybe that's more US. I do kind of think that lager I feel like lager maybe has had this new renaissance, and that in the fact that I think I see more people brewing more. Like, it's more common to go to a tap room and go, there's a lager, but I wonder if that's indicative of cost.
I think it is. I think also, if you don't want to be too niche, you need a lager for the everyday person. True. I in fact had a conversation in October with a brewer who is known for making very high ABV beers, and they were like, "We're gonna, we got a new sub brand, and we're gonna have lagers and pale ales because people like drinking lagers when they just come in. They sometimes want to drink a lager, and I was like, do they?
Depends as well.
That's a revelation.
It depends on your clientele, I think.
It does depend on your
well.
clientele, but I think when you want to be accessible, when you want to have a wide range of people come in, it's a good idea to have like a lager on. It doesn't need to be yours; it can be somebody else's lager, but it's usually a good idea to have a lager available for the people.
Well, that's it. You want to go to this location. How do you convince the people that don't want that niche beer to go to that location? It's lager. And I think in that article, it points out that, with that move to lagers, golden lagers specifically, it does kind of have to do with the price point of like the cost it takes to make them. But even in that article, it still points out that like, even the price point at a craft brewery making a golden lager, they can't compete with a big beer brewery making a golden lager. Which, I kind of, the notes that I made to myself when I read it as well kind of echo what you've said as well, of having that lager. Maybe the reason that I'm seeing it more and more is because it does make it more accessible. Like you said, how do you make sure your space is someplace that somebody can come to? And then if they're trying to convince their mate to come to, how do you get their mate to come to it? I thought the other thing that the article didn't answer that I would love to look into more, we have to do like a Guinness specific episode, is I do wonder where this research, because I've noticed the resurgence in Guinness in terms of its popularity. Like I always thought it's a really good pub go to when there potentially wasn't as many options, and you're like, well, Guinness is a safe bet, I'll have Guinness. I do kind of wonder to a degree, like what actually pushed Guinness to come back into favour in the way it has in the last year or 2 years.
They appealed to the young'uns.
But like how? Like what specifically?
Splitting the G.
But who came up with that? That's what I want to know.
They did. Their marketing.
Did they?
Yeah. Apparently it was all their marketing. And
it just happened one day. And I was like, what?
They put out this stuff that was making Guinness an event. So, going and getting a Guinness and doing that with your friends became a thing to do. And so then young people started drinking more Guinness because they're like, oh, we're going to go split the G. Ha 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 ha.
It's incredibly interesting because I didn't know, like hand over heart, I did not realise that was something that they came up with, because it was just here one day and it just took the world by storm. It was like everyone was splitting the G, and I think that naming convention just sounds disgusting. It's not for me. I don't like the name of it. I just think it sounds gross.
I
like
think
it's not a thing I want to do. Yeah,
and that's on purpose.
I get it. And so I'm kind of like, well done, Guinness. Like what an intelligent move on your part. And I'll still drink Guinness when I mean, that's why I read that
it was their marketing. They were just like, yeah, this is how we're getting the young'uns. I could, if someone knows different, then let me know. But or someone came up with it and they went, "Yep, we're jumping on that."
They've jumped it on, because I feel like borderline gross name aside, I think like gamifying it is one thing, but like I don't know how I feel about it, because basically what it's doing is just be like, cool, we got young people into drinking it because we've gamified chugging it. So I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm also
not saying
like,
it's ethical.
Well done. But I'm also a bit like, that was smart, well done if you did come up with that. So yeah, fair enough.
I mean, Guinness is relatively low ABV as well. So
yeah, it's just hilarious. So side tangent, and I meant to say, I thought this was funny. I was talking to one of my in-laws, and he was talking about how he's like, I'm going to reduce my, cutting down how many beers I'm having. And you can cut this out, but I just needed to tell you, and this is the relevant time to tell you. It's totally been. But he's going, I'm cutting down and I'm having less alcohol, but I'm going to have higher ABV options. And I was like, what did you switch to? And he's like, well, I switched from Carling to Madry or whatever it is. And I was just like, what? And it was like, I'm thinking you switched like a much higher ABV.
Right.
And then he's like, and then he also got the math wrong between, okay, well, if I have 2 small cans versus big, if I have 2 330 mils, that basically equals 1 big can. And we were like, me and Rick were like, no, it doesn't.
No.
We were like, that's more than. Then you're wondering why you're more drunk, because your tolerance is like at Carling level, not at like 1 or 2 ABV above, ABV and then you're also drinking
more of it.
And then he was like, oh, Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Oh my
It's just like,
God.
great. But sorry, I didn't. You
We'll
cut
cut that
cut
out.
all that out because no one needs to know about my in-laws drinking habits. But I needed to tell you because I meant to tell you because it really made me laugh.
Oh God. Hilarious.
Yeah, I think we should dig into Guinness separately on another episode because I just find that's really.
But
I need to watch the show first.
So we need to watch the show, which
See how factually incorrect it is.
Right, I've heard mixed reviews on it. We need to do that. We need to go to Dublin.
Yeah, this is how
hang
this
out
topic.
with Dr. Christina.
This is how the Guinness topic initially came up. As I was talking to Rick about how we have to plan a trip to Ireland, and he was like, "We," and I was like, "No, me and Joe."
No, we, not you. You're not invited.
And I need to go drink Guinness. And I think after reading that book and then that show coming out and me seeing the trailer, I was like, I think this is all bullshit. And then I was like, then I'll still watch it. It's still on my watch list. So I think let's do a whole separate Guinness episode.
Yeah. Watch this space. Tell us what you want us to find out about Guinness. We'll go find it for you.
I've got so many articles that we can in the bank that we can talk about in regards to Guinness and Guinness drinks and everything else. So yeah, definitely watch this space. All right, do you want to take it away with Lottie's episode then?
Right, yeah. So I saw a lot of these articles and I enjoyed Em's one, but I wanted to see if there's anything specific to the UK that would be helpful. And so Lottie has written a article because she's the ambassador for the Brewers Association in Europe, and there are 5 US craft beer trends that are on their way to the UK. So we're going to see. Keep your eyes out for these.
So click on the article. We'll share the link. It's just it's hard to summarize this one. You kind of have to just. I'm just
gonna tell you what the five things are. So the haze craze lives on. I don't think any of us are surprised by the fact that hazies aren't going anywhere. When I was over in the US. I feel like I keep saying this, but I had got some good insights while I was over there. We saw quite a few different styles while we were over there, and the brewers that I was there with were like, it would be really nice if that's what's happening in the US. Like, we tend to be like a little bit behind that, so we're hoping that it means that we're going to end up moving a little bit away from hazies and have a few different, maybe a broader range of beer styles coming out. That'd be nice. So, but at the minute, Lottie says haze isn't going anywhere. So
you haze bros stays.
You haze bros, you're going to love that. 2, which is why we are drinking the lager. Yeah,
you're drinking the lager.
Have you finished your lager?
No. It's not why I picked it. I still have it, but it's not why I picked it.
We think lager is the one. Lager is the one for this year. Lots of people have said for many years, this is the year of the lager. But we think that this year it might actually be it. Lottie thinks that Firestone Walker's Pivo Pills, which is a very good lager, might be coming our way, as well as Deschutes Fresh Hop King Crispy. But we're hoping that we might get lots of different lagers. I like golden lagers, not that much of a fan of, but if we could get a few more smoked lagers, lager with lime, rice lagers, Mexican lagers. Oh, let's get some Mexican dark lager because I love Mexican dark lager, please. Italian lagers, Czech lagers, or let's get some Marzens, please.
A plethora of lagers.
I'm putting that out there. Marzens and Vienna lagers, please. Like, if this is the year of the lager, I'd like smoked. All the lagers. Oh, smoked lager, so good.
I'm withholding, so I've made all my thoughts about the points, but I'm withholding them while we go through it. But now that you've said it, if we can make smoked lagers a thing.
Lagers a thing. It's not just lager, it's all the lagers. All the different kinds of lagers.
Oh yeah, I want all the different kinds.
Let's have a Schwartz beer. I love a black lager. Come on.
You love a Vienna lager as well.
Vienna lager is my favourite. There's been quite a few Vienna lagers out lately, and I've been like, thank you, everyone. I enjoy this. Packaging formats were brought up, and you were talking about this the other day from when
I made a note actually that I was like, I had this conversation with somebody already.
You had this conversation when you were in the US. So apparently Sierra Nevada are looking at using 250 ml cans for their German style Pilsner, which I think is interesting, like a 250ml lager can, interesting. They claim it reflects European culture. I don't know if I agree with that.
Again, I'm withholding. I'm withholding at the moment. I'm sitting on hands, muting the mic.
And that it means that the beer stays crisp and cold from the first to the last sip. Also, I don't know if I agree. But also they are, in the other way, breweries are looking at using 19.2 ounce cans. That's a imperial pint. That's like a proper pint to us UK peeps. So, and those are called a stovepipe. They're the really tall cans that none of us are getting in our fridges because the fridge shelves are too short, which means that people can get more for their money. The fourth one is beverages that are beyond beer. So kombucha, cider, hard tea. I don't know if we're going to see. I don't know whether hard tea will take off over here. I think it's going to be like hard seltzer. I think people go more to ready to drink cocktails because we've always had that culture, and I don't think hard tea and hard seltzer break in because we're just like, well, we'll just have a cocktail. But that's my opinion on that. I'm sitting on hands before I go off on like rants. I'm like, no, wait until it's done, and then you can get on your soapbox and rant. I'm interested to see if we get kind of like more CBD, THC infused beer drinks over here. I'm interested to see.
I don't really understand how. I would love to understand more about how it works because I don't really understand how it works over there, because obviously you get CBD infused things, but you won't. I don't think you can have THC infused things because the THC, I don't know if that's the thing that you can have over here versus CBD. Specifically, it's the THC is the part that I don't know. I might be wrong because this is just.
No, I think you might be right. And
I sound like I'm like, yeah. And that's it. It's like in the US, you can get THC infused drinks. Yeah. You can, depending on your state, like Massachusetts, you can get a THC infused thing, but I think you have to get, I might be wrong, I'm not sure, but I think you have to get it from specific shops. Like you don't have to have a medical card or anything, but you can only get things with THCs. I believe it's like, I'm going to use the wrong terminology, so someone will probably shout at me, but like the cannabinoids that are in the THC, like that's what's illegal, that piece, not the CBD. And like, so you can get like over here, I think you can pretty much get like hemp cream, you can get things infused with CBD. What you can't get is THC infused things. I don't believe, but I'm saying that blindfolded, having not researched it, just because you mentioned it. And that's
THC
interesting.
Drinks are apparently going to be a thing next year in the US, where
I imagine they will.
Available.
I imagine they very much will.
But yeah, I wonder if we'll get more CBD type things. I know people have tried it.
I've tried it.
Have you tried?
Yeah.
Does it taste any good? I kind of have a bit of a. I feel like that's not going to taste good.
It tasted fine, but it took me forever to drink one that I had because it was. I sound like such a fucking square. I think it was 250 milligrams, and I'm like, I don't know how much that is. Like, I don't know. That's like how
did it scare you?
Well, I was a bit like, oh, I don't know, 250 milligrams. And then it took me forever to actually drink it. I think I got it it was something I brought back from the US. And so I was a bit like, oh, and it wasn't THC, it was CBD.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I don't know about this. And it took me so long to drink it. And then I finally drank it and I was like, oh, yeah, for me, it felt like a gimmick because I didn't feel any different to like a normal, like I didn't notice, but that's not to say that it is. It was just for me and my body, it didn't do anything above and beyond what a drink of the same alcohol strength and whatever else. So but I sound like such a fucking square because it took me so long to drink it because I was like, oh, I don't know what 250 milligrams is.
In case it wasn't apparent, case it wasn't apparent, listeners, we don't know anything about that sort of stuff. So
I was like, what was I going to do? Like, so I was like, do I drink it? And I was like, oh, is it going to fuck me up? Like, I don't know. And so I was a bit like, oh, I don't. So yeah, I went through like the nervous of like, do I do it? I don't know. And then when I drank it, I was like, oh, I'm being so naughty. I'm having 250 of CBD. And it was like absolutely fine.
It didn't do anything.
No.
Good stuff.
But then I felt like a bigger wet blanket because I was like, ugh, like I panicked over this and I made it a big deal. Then I was like, oh, it was nothing. Great.
Yeah. The fifth one. I haven't got to the end yet.
Sorry.
The fifth one, low and no alcohol. I think we all know that low and no alcohol is growing.
Yes.
You know, I think we've always been an advocate for non-alcoholic beverages, non-alcoholic beers. You know, it's good to have. I think it's good to just have a choice. And I like to see that there's more low and no alcohol options available when we go out places. So happy for that to be a trend that's coming.
I drank the Girls Who Grain, which is the Girls Who Grind.
How was it?
Really, really nice. Like
I want to try
really
that.
nice. And it was when I checked it in on Untapped, it's actually brewed by Drop Beer. And I will say, admittedly, so I've had Drop Beer beers before, and I admittedly wasn't historically, and we're talking like I probably haven't had one in a while, at least a year, if not 2+ years. I wasn't impressed by their lagers. I liked their other drinks, but not lagers, their stouts. Mm-hmm. I've had their other alcohol-free, and I liked those, but the stouts, for some reason, it just didn't hit. Like they felt too thin. They didn't. Yeah.
Stouts are hard in non-alcoholic.
They are really hard. That's why it's no shade. But I didn't know when I drank this that this was by them. It wasn't until I checked in, because I didn't know who had brewed it, because it just was Girls Who Grain. And I decided to drink it cold because recently I'd seen stouts. People post about stouts, and I've seen the drinking instructions for stouts in the US, certain types of ones that they were like, actually drink it cold. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to try. It will be a little bit colder than I would normally start. So I like to drink it on the colder side and then let it warm up. This time I drank it even just a little bit colder than that. Okay. And I found it was great because it didn't feel really watery thin. It didn't feel like, it was really full flavored. It really tasted like coffee. And I do kind of wonder if they just maybe keep shorter lifespans than alcoholic stouts, and then maybe that's why, like, some of the stouts I've kept that were non-alcohol, maybe I left them a bit too long and they've lost some flavor or something. But this was, besides stouts being notoriously hard to do, this was really good. And I think as it warmed up, I don't think anything necessarily added to the flavor, but nothing removed from the flavor. It was very coffee flavorful, very coffee forward. Nice. And I feel like that sometimes misses when you have alcohol-free or low and no alcohol coffee stouts. It's like, you're like, I'm just getting this dark malt and I'm not really getting coffee flavors, or it will be a bit nutty, but you won't really get roasty. And this, I felt like I got a lot of roasty and chocolate, and it was really, really nice. So
nice. I like that a lot. Yeah,
I was a fan. With the low no alcohol thing, I think that's something I didn't have any notes on that, because I was like, agree. But some of your notes. You want me to hit with the notes?
I can see you like bristling to say things.
So where you were talking, I was like, sit on hands. With the hazy point, I was wondering, in the UK, we were saying it's going to be hazy over here, like storm hazy is
going
coming.
Anywhere.
It's not going anywhere, basically. But I find, and I don't know if this is just me and the circles I'm in, a lot of people are all West Coast is the best coast, and I feel like that gets bigger airtime. There's always hazies on the menu. Like, I feel like there's always hazies over West Coasts, but fan favourites are West Coast, not hazies, which is really bizarre to me.
But I think that's like a proper craft beer geek thing. Like, and I think those are the circles that we're in. I think we're with the people that potentially have been drinking a little bit longer, drinking craft beer a little bit longer, like they're a little bit further through their craft beer journey. We're in with like the proper geeks, and I think with the proper geeks, West Coast comes up quite a lot. I think it's, I don't want to say your average drinker, but
Average drinker's fair.
Yeah, your average drinker likes a hazy.
Because it's across the spectrum, isn't it? It's like people that are super into it versus people that are just like a beer but don't just want standard big beer. So yeah, that's a fair take. At least you validated my thinking as well, which is just like, I feel like while I see hazies on the menu more,
people are always going,
people rave about West Coast, but like West Coast is better. And you just put that into perspective for me. So fine. I'm going to leave my biggest soapbox for last. So the other thing that I'll say before I get on my soapbox is with the other alcohol, I agree with you. I can see like cider production, cocktail and can production, like those type of things being really low, no alcohol, like all of that taking off.
Diversification.
So much better. Yeah, the diversification working really well, expanding out into snacks and other drinks and even hot water. Like I feel like hot water is even something that's more likely to take off. The kombucha, I think kombucha can take off well, but I think that is really dependent on your market. And I think certain types of breweries and their target audience is going to be more interested and open to a kombucha than other markets. So I don't think it will hurt them or anything like that to make it. I think they'll know their target audience better. But I don't think the average brewery that's not their target audience could just like make one.
They're not going to knock out a kombucha. No.
Yeah.
Gotta have the right audience for a kombucha. That is 100%.
100%. But I do think the one thing I agreed with you wholeheartedly when you said of like, I just don't see hard teas or hard lemonades or whatever like taking off here like they do in the US. Like already hard teas, normal tea in the US, like when you have iced teas,
iced tea doesn't do it over here.
It's
I
just
love
like
a sweet tea, but I'm
I like it.
Like Anglo-American person who's like lived over there for a little bit. Like I love an iced tea, but you got like iced tea just you like.
You maybe get a peach iced tea that will be drank over here. But other than that, you don't really get like a sweet tea like we were when we were in the US at Christmas.
I love an Arizona tea and I just don't find it that often.
Normally Lidl. You have to get it at Lidl when it's American week.
B&M usually has it. Yeah, B&M usually has it.
I think there's some people that like an iced tea, but then like I don't think that alcoholic, like the hard tea market.
Yeah. I don't really know why. I don't know what. Like, I like an iced tea. I don't know why I'd want to drink a hard iced tea. I don't know why I'd want to drink that.
I agree. I don't even know why. I'm going to go out on a limb. You know, someone's got to say something controversial. I don't really know why Americans want to drink hard iced tea. Like, what's the value? I genuinely don't get the value. Just add some like rum or something to your tea.
Right?
Why are you buying it pre?
I was like.
Make an iced tea cocktail. Why are we hardening up our tea? I don't get it.
Like a hard seltzer. I get a hard seltzer. I don't like it, but I get a hard seltzer. It's like it's like a soda and like it's like a soda and vodka soda, right? That's what and you can add flavour to it. I get a hard seltzer. Why people would drink it? Hard tea. What? Why would you drink a hard tea?
I kind of feel
also,
like
it's cold tea, and people over here are like. Sorry, what?
Controversial take. I understand hot waters, sparkling hot waters, more than I understand hard seltzers.
Yes, I agree.
I said what I said, and that's just how it is. And like you're like, I understand why someone wants a hard seltzer. I don't, but that's because I also don't like sparkling water at the best of times.
Right, but if you're a vodka soda drinker, then a hard seltzer would make sense, right? Then that makes sense. Like there is an equivalent of it. There is, I don't know where there is a hard tea equivalent. Like who's
it's not the tea drinkers.
Other than your alcoholic nan who's chucking brandy in a cup of tea, like who's drinking hard tea?
I don't think I've ever heard of anyone, nan or otherwise, being like chuck some brandy in this.
I've definitely
in a tea.
Like it was a bit. I think it's a bit of a like. It's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke, like. People chucking a bit of booze in their cup of tea, like.
But I think if I was going to make a tea, like a cold tea drink, I'd probably be doing a cocktail. Like I wouldn't want a pre-hardened quote unquote tea. I don't understand why anyone's drinking hard teas.
No, I don't.
And I'm not judging people that do. I just tell me your logic because I just don't.
If you're a hard, we have some Americans that listen. If you're a hard tea drinker, tell us. What does it taste like? Why do you drink it?
I know what it tastes like. I don't need to know what it tastes like. I just need to know why. Yeah, I've tried twisted teas before.
Oh, have you? I've never even tried it.
Why? I just want to know why.
Why does it exist? Why do you enjoy it? Tell us.
Why do you like it? That's not a question of like that's not a sarcastic. That's like genuinely tell me why you like it. Because
why do you like it? Like me turning around to someone going, why do you like Flanders Red? Because it tastes like balsamic vinegar. Like, what's your problem?
Yeah. And then I think people would be like, oh, brother, why are you doing that?
Please tell us about hard tea. If you drink hard tea, why do you enjoy it?
I honestly, serious question. And then my biggest soapbox moment is around the sizing. So this is where I'm like going to get. Oh,
that wasn't your
right?
That wasn't your soapbox.
No.
Okay.
It wasn't my soapbox.
I'm strapping in. I thought that was the soapbox.
My soapbox is around these sizes, right? I'm not blaming Lottie. This is not Lottie. Lottie's not saying these are the things. Like Sierra Nevada is saying we're doing 250ml cans. Maybe
but
it's going to keep things. What is that about? Why? Like no. They're like to be in line with European drinking. What? No, we don't even we can't even get 250 ml
When we want 250ml cans, we can't get them. I mean, lager is literally formulated to be drunk in quantity. So I don't really get it.
But that was my point, is I was like, I would rather, and then they're like, and then everything out, we're going to make everything out sized up. Everything's going to be 560ml cans. But how about, I'm back on my soapbox now, this really wound me up, how about we just make normal size cans, but we just sell one of them? And then we build our own 6-packs. Instead of, give me a 568ml imperial ridiculous pint, whatever, this tall boy mega jug, like... You're giving me a mega pint, and I'm here
it's not a mega pint. It's just a regular pint.
Comparative to our 440ml cans, it's a mega pint. In my little baby hands, they're huge.
Like it's an actual pint.
And I'm here, yeah, but it hits different if I've ordered a pint of it. And I don't order pints of things typically unless I have to. And that's the thing, is I'm like, do I really want an actual pint's worth of that? Like, why don't you just do this innovative thing called let me have one can on its own, and then I can buy all the individual one cans? Because what was the reason that it was just like, because not every people want to maximize their
to maximize to get a bang for their buck.
Get bang for the buck. How about you just do less, and then to get the bang for my buck, you do a mixed pack.
I pick a variety, yeah. I mean, some people like to drink the same beer over and over again.
Then buy the 12-pack. Why are we buying individual? If you like to drink the same beer over again, you're not buying one singular. Because this is the thing, is they were selling them in single cans. Because this is exactly what the guy I spoke to at the liquor store back in the US said, was like, this is kind of the move. This is the trend that they're going towards, is making these single cans that are we're not talking about a 4-pack or a 6-pack. They might do those, but this was like individual cans that were 568ml. And I was just like, why don't we just uncouple the packs? And then we just buy one of them, and then I could buy multiple ones, and like that would be really cool. And and I think for me, it's like I want the 250ml cans of the higher ABV stuff and the niche stuff and the things that I don't want a full serving of, right? Like I would love to normalize that over here.
Yeah.
But you know what I don't want to normalize? 568ml cans. I think that is literally wild. And not 250ml cans for a lager. I will get off my soapbox now. My heart rates are up.
I mean, well said.
And people will disagree, and I'm okay with that disagreement. But I just, in my brain, I'm like, no, why? No, stop it.
Yeah. Listeners, if you have a difference of opinion to this, let us know. We want to hear.
Like Sierra Nevada, what are you doing? That's like that statement. I was reading it and I was getting angry reading it. Like I was like, what European drinking? No. Before I lose it completely. We did also get a Vine Pair article, which just talks about 8 drink trends to look out for in 2026. And I just thought it'd be interesting to run through them quickly and kind of talk about, do we think there's anything that could, because this is just about drinks in general, alcoholic drinks in general, not necessarily beer. Some of them mention beer, but I thought be interesting to talk about them, see if we think there's any parallels there at all. So I'll run through the 8 and then we can discuss. Number 1, wine lists lean into lower prices. So it was just basically talking about restaurants kind of finding more lower priced options for bottles and single pours and stuff, because I imagine I like wine, but as part of my goal for 2026, I want to drink more wine because I don't make enough time to drink the wine. And I imagine that some of these places they're looking at, especially because they reference places in like New York City, that the price per bottle is just very high, and they potentially maybe don't offer individual glasses of it. It's like you've got to get the whole bottle or nothing, and then it becomes it's not accessible, because they're saying that it's basically an intensive financial decision over like what wine bottle you're getting. So that was one thing they were sort of predicting, is that they're going to lean into more affordable pricing on wine. Number 2 was on the rocks become shaved ice. So they were kind of talking about like one of the examples they gave was like a daiquiri. Instead of having, it says, this is not your lakeside snow cone, and it says spirits douse glasses filled with frozen shards of one of the latest emerging trends in drinks, shaved ice in cocktails. That was really interesting. The fact that instead of doing it over rocks, they're getting shaved ice and then putting the cocktail over the shaved ice. It says shaved ice is all the buzz. So that was the second one. The third one is aperitivo craze moves beyond the spritz. So it was looking at like apero cocktail hours, and they'll dive into Italian aperitivo drinks. So, I mean, I don't really like I'm not going to lie, I don't like Aperol, which I know is one.
I mean, I'll drink it, but it's not my fave.
I don't like it. And every time I try to have it, because I think
it's bitter.
Yeah, and it's really dry. And then I go, it looks so pretty, let me try it. And then I see everyone else drinking it and having a good time and loving it. And I go, maybe this time, maybe I'll like it this time. And then I have it and I'm like, I hate this. Someone else drink it. I'm not yucking someone's yum. I taste it and I go, oh, it's not for me. It looks refreshing and it dries my mouth out and I can't do it.
It's not for me.
But it says it's kind of embracing that move. The next one was a bright green boom of alternative green liqueurs. So yeah, Can
we just get Midori more easily?
I really like Midori.
I like Midori. You just can't get it. You said you were trying to get it and you couldn't get it.
Like you can get it. It's just really expensive, and you can't just walk into a shop and buy it. Yeah, like, you have to know you want to make a drink with Tori. And I mean, I'm personally a fan. So, yeah, it's a green spirit. It says it's a olive colored spirit. I don't really quite understand.
Olive colored.
It's an olive green colored spirit, but I don't really know.
What flavour is it? It's not olive though, is it?
It doesn't really say. So it says it's still heavily debated within industry circles whether or not we're actually in the midst of a chartreuse shortage. Still, cocktail enthusiasts in search of the green herbal liquor might be hard pressed to find a bottle in the wild, as there's no denying interest in the alpine spirit. Has spiked over the past few years. How can at-home bartenders make a compelling last word or bijou? Luckily, a swanky new setting of green liqueurs are here to fill the void. So, yeah, I don't really know. It doesn't really say, but I don't know what chartreuse is. So what is?
Oh, I'm looking it up. It is a vibrant yellowish green colour and a famous French herbal liqueur made by Carthusian monks, known for its complex flavour from 130 botanicals. What does it taste like? That you can get green chartreuse or yellow chartreuse.
Ooh, I just know chartreuse is a colour. Yeah. Which I couldn't even tell you like what the colour actually is. I just know it's a colour.
It's like it's a green.
I was gonna say I'm assuming it was green.
It's green, yeah. It doesn't say what it tastes like though.
I feel like they differ in try it. I want to try it because I have no idea and describe it. Well, this undescriptive drink seems to be coming on.
There's other liqueurs that taste like chartreuse.
That's green.
Like chartreuse.
It's a thing. It's happening. Okay. The next one is Beer Dials Back. And it's basically kind of saying that small batch brewers are thinking they'll find simplicity refreshing and look towards clean, quaffable brews. So it sounds like it's kind of peeling back all the quirkiness of stuff and just making simplistic, tasty beers, really core range type beers.
Beers that people can rely on.
Yes. No bold swings, no high ABVs, just a standard of good. And then second to last one, I think is shareable cocktails become cool again. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, so this one just happens to be like it's not a fishbowl, but it is a really big, again, we'll share this article, but so many straws sticking out of it. You can't see inside because it's flowers, straws, it's fruits, it's not just straws, bendy straws, squiggly straws.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic. Then you've got, so that was the third from last one. Then you have alternative packaging beyond boxes and cans, and it's basically saying how some wine producers are using Tetra Packs for their product, and then the continued growth of celebrity-backed non-alcoholic drinks. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of these are obviously very specific to the spirits world, but the ones that I thought potentially had the biggest crossover, very loosely, in my opinion, like the wine list, like leading into lower prices. Like I do wonder if there's going to be this move towards leading into lower prices for, not that we're saying like, oh, we're devaluing the beer, but like leading into making more cost-effective options or procuring more cost-effective, quote unquote, options for your tap room as well, so that people have that option if their budget isn't as high.
Yeah.
I think we're just in a time where people don't have as much disposable income as they used to have, and that is a factor. So I think that maybe is one that can translate. The on the rocks one, obviously I'm wondering if people will. I still hope that beer slushies will be a thing.
I was going to say, is that just a lazy slushie?
It is a lazy slushie, yeah. And I wonder if you could do it with beer. Shave ice, so you
just don't have a slushie machine. You're just shaving ice and whacking that over it. Because there are times where I'm like, do I want a frozen margarita? Do I want a margarita on the rocks? Sometimes I just want it on the rocks. Like I don't want it frozen. So even shaved ice is not going to do it for me if I'm in a mood for the rocks. So
if I'm in the mood for the rocks. I think that would be really interesting to just get shaved ice and then just dump a smoothie beer over it and then just be like, did this work? Like mix it and then be like, did this work? Yes.
Did it work? There you go, listeners. Another question for you. Do you want to see us try a shaved ice Willet slushie?
I think the answer is unequivocally going to be no.
Will it shaved ice?
Will it shaved ice? So that would be interesting to see if that slushified shaved ice, whatever, kind of leans into beer. The one I thought was interesting as well was the shareable cocktails. Shareable cocktails becoming cool again. I wonder if, I think we should normalize this personally, of like, if you've got friends that are also beer drinkers and you go out someplace, like sharing bottles, but even not everyone has sharing bottles. So like going to your local shop and then be like, we're just going to get a bunch of cans and we'll just share out the cans instead of getting one each individually. Like, low key, not a bottle share where you're bringing your own bottle, but like you're going and meeting up places and sharing the drinks that you're getting.
Yeah. Why not? Let's do it. I feel like when you've got one of those big like open cocktails though, there's always going to be somebody who's like not the sharer, who's just like drinking more than their share.
Oh, which is why
that's the liability you've got to get home.
But I think that's also like a different and better approach though with beer, because you can be like, let's all share, but we're doing it in our own glasses evenly. Yeah. Beer drinkers, I think, tend to be more like, let's keep it fair. Let's all pour evenly. Yeah. Which is just not the same as let's drink it out of a fishbowl, which, don't get me wrong, let's drink it out of a fishbowl. I mean, that's
drink
fun.
Out of the fishbowl, like that's fun, but there's always going to be that one person that does more than their share.
Or one person really likes the taste of it and they're like, fucking let's go. The other person doesn't like it as much.
And then you got to pour them in a taxi and get them home.
And then I guess final question is not really, because the beer ones I feel like are self-explanatory. I think like the alternative packaging, I don't think that you can really work around that when it comes to beer too much. Like you can make things more economical, but you can't really change the packaging up entirely because that compromises the safety of the beer for obvious reasons.
I mean, I feel like we've moved more from bottles to cans anyways, like since COVID. Like I feel like you saw way more bottles. before COVID, and then we made the move into cans.
And the bottles are more the premium product now, I think.
Yeah.
But the celebrity non-alcohol, I only knew about Tom Holland's one, the Brew.
Yeah, I
didn't know about all the others.
I was like, one of the Spider-Men was on my. I was like, I can't remember which one it was. One of the Spider-Men was on my feed promoting a non-alcoholic beer.
I love that.
What are you doing, sir? I couldn't remember which one it was.
I kind of want to try. So I've never tried it, and I kind of want to try some of the celebrity beers. So I'm a bit like, do I try the celebrity non-alcoholic? Even though I imagine they've had no input into any of it except the branding, which apparently Kim Kardashian said that you don't. When I was in the US, there was a trailer on for some show where Kim Kardashian was like advising people of stuff, and
was she?
Yeah, and she was just like, it's not about you. Like it's not about your product, it's about you, and people will buy your product if you sell yourself well enough, sort of thing. And I was like,
that's sad.
I don't know if I agree with that. And then I was also a bit like, I was like, I agree with that if you're a celebrity. Like, I don't think Joe Blogs down the road is going like, and this is me, and that's why people are buying the product.
Yeah, no.
Regardless, but
I would quite like it to be a good product, though.
Exactly. I'm like, if I'm a nobody and the product's not good, you're probably not going to buy it. Whereas I think celebrities can get away with
it, yeah,
making a lesser value product, but marketing it. So that's just my hot take on that, I guess. Yeah. Any further thoughts on those?
No. I would like to try chartreuse.
Yeah, our takeaway is both of us would like to try chartreuse. Because
where can we get chartreuse, people? Let us know.
I wouldn't even know where to start looking for that. Rennie, should we crack our second beer?
Yeah.
Cool. What is your second beer?
Well, part of this is planned and part of this has worked out quite nicely.
Okay.
So I've got Stoker's Stout from Jump Ship, which is a non-alcoholic stout.
Fantastic.
So I planned the non-alcoholic beer because we were going to talk about low and no. But talking about you drinking a non-alcoholic stout, hadn't planned that.
Well, I'm not drinking a non-alcoholic stout. I am drinking, not this time, but what I am doing is drinking an alcoholic stout, and I'm drinking it out of an Anspach and Hobday glass, which is a really great flash forward into what we're about to talk about. Admittedly, the stout I'm having is past its best before date by a bit, but I was just like, it'll be fine, and it tastes fine. It's the Colonel's Dry Stout with Mosaic, so obviously I'm guessing that date's more about the freshness of the hop and the overall taste than it is, but tastes fine to me.
And why are you drinking out of an Anspach and Hobday glass?
So I'm so glad you asked, Joe, because we're sort of stepping away from the trends aspect a bit, but this caught my attention. Originally today was going to be a little bit of like a news article, and we wanted to do something that was kind of like looking into refresh to 2026 to kind of complement the episode that we released last. But it all kind of started with I was scrolling through and I saw Anspach and Hobday put on their website or put on their Instagram page that they were going to be doing a pay the ABV for weekends and or particular days in January. And I just thought, yeah, that's really cool. So it's like if it was this one from the Colonel is a 4.8%. So if I were getting this, I think it was pints. Actually, I should probably verify that. Let me look. I've got the post up in front of me. So for the weekdays, so throughout weekdays and Sundays in January, all their draft beer pints will be priced by the straw. So that's what it says on their post, that all of their draft beer pints will be priced by strength. So it says that means your favourite London Black will be £4.40, the ordinary bitter will be £3.40, and the Bermondsey Pale will be £3.40. But then they also made an addendum that said, FYI, non-alcoholic cans and bottles are not included. And it's not applicable on a Saturday. And then also, lots of people in the comments go, shame about the non-alcoholic beer, but in a joking way, like, how could you not include the non-alcoholic beer? Which is funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. When I saw that, I was like, that's cool. And I don't think I've really heard of anyone doing that before. So I thought, looking into 2026, not necessarily trends, but kind of talking about creative approaches that presumably they're doing this on days where they don't get as much custom, so weekdays and Sundays where they maybe have slower business. Like, that's a really great way, and especially in January, because so many people do dry January, or oh, I need to be healthy, so I don't really want to go out, and or I don't really want to spend money, or whatever the reason is that somebody has, it's valid. But businesses have to combat with that, to be like, how am I going to get people to come into my business, knowing all these obstacles in January as a slow time of year after the holidays? So I thought that was really clever, and I hadn't seen anyone do that. So I thought it'd be really interesting to spend the second half of this episode just talking about creative approaches to either how bars have charged or just to get people in during slow periods. So I don't know. I've got a few other examples. Did you have any others that you'd seen that were?
I've not seen anything. I thought that was quite unique. I've not seen anywhere do that before. How Anspatch and Hobday are doing it, but I think like I've seen breweries kind of do community things or things that draw people together. You know, host various different types of groups. I've seen, you know, stitch and sips or draw and sips or like silent reading at a brewery. So you get beers and then you'll just sit around and silent and read and then talk about it afterwards. Like, I've seen various different kind of community aspects like that draws people in, which I think is quite good.
I think that silent reading thing is quite interesting, because it's like, I'm curious how that works, because what about that brings you out to go someplace? You know what I mean? Because you'd be like, I'll just read at home.
So I think, and I actually went to a silent reading club and I didn't like it.
That's fair enough, but how does it work?
Not because I've seen them, like there's a few of kind of the beer girls in the US that are also book girlies like me, and one of the girls goes to one regularly, and you go along, you bring your own book, so it's not like you know, sometimes I think people are put off joining a book club because they're going to have to read a book that they don't necessarily want to. Like, I like a book club because it pushes you to read something different, but some people don't like that. You just want to read the things that you want to read. So in this, you bring your book, everyone comes along, you sit down, everyone, there's a chunk of time where you read your book and everyone's just reading their books, but then afterwards you've got an opportunity to socialize with people. So, and then you can talk about the book that you've been reading and recommend it to other people and blah, blah, blah. And that's what's supposed to happen, is you then have like a social bit where you talk to different people and meet new book people. And if you do it at a brewery, then you can have a few beers together as well. Sounds great. I went to one near me, and I was like, cool, like we'll all read our own books. And then you get to meet people afterwards. And the people that were in the group that I was in, literally 2 people walked in, read their book, got up and walked back out again, didn't talk to a single other person. And almost everyone in the group had come with another person and only talked to their other person, didn't socialise with anybody else. And I was like, okay, this is not how I felt this was supposed to go. But it was also in an area where I hear that groups in that area tend to do that, like they don't kind of welcome new people in very well.
That's it, is you need to have that person that's there encouraging everyone to engage, and maybe those people that left didn't really understand the assignment. And it's like cool, because I was just like, why have you come all the way out to the bookshop to sit down and read and then go home again without talking to anybody? Like, that's it, because you could presumably just
you could literally have done that at home. So like it's that kind of social aspect afterwards, and the group that I went to didn't really do that. So I think that's a key part of it, is that yes, sense. You're reading your own book, but then you get to talk to other people about books afterwards. And if it's done right, I think it's a good idea.
I can see how the way you described that of like what it's supposed to do versus your experience. Because in my brain, when you were like, it's a silent read, I'm like, but why is everyone going and then reading and then leaving? Because I'm thinking those people that you said like literally read their book, got up and walked out, and I'm like, well, why would you go all the way? I wouldn't drag myself out to do that. I'd do that at home in my pajamas with a candle or a bath or whatever. I
feel like you don't need to go out and do that.
But it is that aspect of the community after.
I'm not saying don't go out and read your book. Like, I definitely have gone to the tap room, got a beer and read my book on my own. Like, no shade. Like, read your book out in public wherever you want. but like when it's a group setting,
1010%.
there should be a little bit of social, there should be a little bit of interaction there.
I think it's more, in my brain, it's not about don't go out and read. It's like what's dragging me out on a specific date and time of the week when maybe I'm not feeling it. If the whole thing is like I'm going out to just read and go home. Whereas you've just made more sense of like what it's supposed to be versus in my brain what I thought it was. I do think my little undiagnosed ADHD brain probably would be so distracted by everyone else that I'd probably read like 3 words and I'd like be pretending to read and then I'd be like ha, 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 and then I'd go like back through and then they'd be like, what did you just read? And I'd be like, words.
I don't know. So I have since
audiobook.
I have since joined a traditional book club where we have a pick every month and but we meet in a pub, so I still get to have a beer when I'm there.
I like that though. I like the idea of book clubs.
You know what? There's really good people. Our first few books were a little bit heavy. We got something a bit we got a cozy Christmas romance at Christmas. Ooh. That was really fun. And now we've gone back to heavy books again, and we're all like, ugh. But we're all in it together.
When you say heavy books, like what? I've got questions of what you mean by heavy books.
So I mean, our first book was called One of the Good Guys. Really good book. Recommend it if you're a thriller reader. But like we've just ended up with some books where there's an awful lot of violence towards women or misogynistic views in them, and we kind of got consistently books with misogynistic views. And considering like it's not set up just for women, but we have ended up being a group of all women. We are like, oh, it's another one of those books. Like that was the first one, and then
how do you pick them?
So it's actually so it's chapter 25 book club. Can recommend to anyone who's into books, wants to do a bit more reading this year. They do an online version and they do local ones, and I'm in the Canterbury chapter. So look them up and see if there's one near you. But we all go in, so like once a quarter they'll be like, it's voting time, and they'll give you a list of different genres, and we as a group will all vote for 3 genres that we want. And then based on our group and how many of our people and what our votes were like, it's then like, okay, so this month you've got mythology, this month you've got romance, this month you've got fantasy. And then they've got a list of books and they'll pick one. Like chapter 25 have got a list of books under that, and then then each club gets one based on their genre. They are looking at how they can make it a bit more easy for people to select things. So I think people have got stuff that they weren't as pleased with. Like this month was supposed to be mythology, but the book that we've got, it looked like it was going to be about African mythology. And it is
interesting,
but fair. And I was like, "Oh, cool! Like I've never read any African mythology, and maybe that's my problem because I don't know any African mythology, so I'm not picking up on it because it's set in the 70s, which was a surprise. Because I usually just pick it up and read it. I don't look into what it's about. I'm just like, this is the book. Let's read it. And this one, I had to go. Why are we in the 70s? Hang on, let me go and find out what the premise of this book is, because I was expecting it to be African mythology, and instead it is, but it's kind of through the life of a girl in the 70s, and then the mythological stories are kind of woven into it. And I like, colonization and all of that jazz. Like if we were like if it was a book and it had like, I don't know, Christian mythology in it, it had Greek mythology in it, like the ones that we were taught as children, I'd probably be like, oh, that's Hercules, that's the story of Hercules, oh, that's the story of
it's just that proactive picking up on.
I don't know the mythology, I don't think I'm picking it out as easily, which just means I want to go and read more African mythology, because obviously I don't know it. So I might have to go and do that.
That is super duper interesting, because that's a genre that I literally just never crossed my brain either. So
I've got another book that is a fantasy book based on African mythology, and I was like, okay, that needs to come high. And I bought it and then hadn't got around to reading it, and I was like, right, that needs to come higher on my TBR, because I now need to dive into this more, because I don't know any, and therefore I'm not picking up easily on the tales in this story because I don't know them, and that's on me for not knowing them.
Yeah, that's the book club concept is like I feel it's interesting that you mentioned that you're a group of women as well, because like I feel like any book, like I was in book clubs before, and I feel like any book club I've ever been has always been like really heavily female led, interestingly enough. And I think I like the concept of read your own book and then go and talk about it in a group, because I think for me, I'm really specific with the types of things I like to read, and I will really like when I was in a book group before and trying to read certain books, I was just like, oh my god, this is not written in a way that my brain likes reading it. I was like, it was a struggle, and I just couldn't engage with it as much, which meant like I didn't want to go to some sessions. I didn't want, because I'm like, I have nothing to contribute because I did not want to read this. So
and I think that's the thing. Like, I think the good thing about a book club is that it makes you read things that you wouldn't pick up yourself, and you don't have to do that. Like, you can just read if all you want to do is read romance, and all you have to do, like, read what you enjoy. Like, if you want to be pushed a bit, a book club's really good for that. Another, like, while I'm just talking about how great chapter 25 is for anybody else that reads books, there's also loads of extra bonus stuff. So they do like creative writing, like an online creative writing session, or a bullet journaling session, or they have Q&As online with various different authors every month. So there's all this extra stuff that you get as well as your book club, which is amazing. So
you make me want to join just for the extras.
The extras are so great. And then there's like there is a fantasy readers group that you can go and, like, they'll talk about a different book, and then it's really worth it. So if you're looking for a book club, my recommendation is chapter 25. Not affiliated, I just really like it. I want to share it with everybody else because it's so great.
I feel like we've deviated, so like we've tangented so far from that aspect of like the creative ways of like paying as a starting point. But I've seen what like something you can do in it. I feel like this could be a whole separate conversation of things that you can do and enjoy in a tap room.
To bring it back to beer, it was last Thursday was our January book club catch up, and normally the pub we're in, we have to kind of like the tables get reserved, and like our host has to kind of like defend the tables until we're there, because because she's like, these tables are reserved for the book club, and like we normally like take over like the whole corner, and it's usually quite difficult because it's quite tight. It's an old Canterbury pub, so it's like it's a bit tight in there, and usually we kind of squish in a little bit, and people are trying to steal our tables. We were literally the only people in the pub on Thursday night because the weather was horrible. But we'd all made, like, a whole bunch of us have made it out because it was book club and we were going.
Well, that like I said, like thinking about, we could have a whole separate episode about like things you can do in a pub, like other activities you could do in a pub or that stuff. Because I feel like I've seen like date night with the books, where I think did I get you on last Christmas?
Blind date with a book.
Blind date with a book, that's what it is.
For Christmas, I love that. We did that as our, like, so we it was like, the one before, our host was like, would we all want to take part in a blind date with a book? So we all bring one that's wrapped up, and then if you bring one, you get one. And so we did that as our Christmas, like as our December meetup. Everybody got a book if you brought one. And it was great, like, because then we just wrote the genre on the outside, and so then you got and I got festive mystery, and I got mystery in white, which is, it's not an Agatha Christie, but it very much feels like an Agatha Christie, and it's written in the 1930s, and it was great. And but I wouldn't have picked it myself, but because I got it in the blind date with a book, it was great.
I love the idea of using beer spaces to, we'll go back to the actual thing we're talking about. I love the idea of like having that blind date with a book, but like I've seen it where you buy this blind date with a book, and then you can get like stickers, and I think the one that I got you had like stickers and like,
a bookmark, some sweets, maybe a tea bag.
Yeah, and you can kind of pick like you can pick like the genre of what you want that book to be, and I very nichely picked it for you. And I love that, I love that idea, but I actually really like what you've just said about like holding it at a pub or a tap room or something, and you could be like, blind date with a book, cool, everyone take one, and whether or not you get that from a like the give one, take one type library, even if they have one of those like give a book, take a book things like at that tap room, or you're having it as an event where everyone wraps up a book and takes it with and swaps with somebody. And I think what would be really cool would be like to do that type of swap. And then you sit there and like, especially if it's like a bottle shop where there's lots of bottles, or like read the synopsis, try to match.
Oh yeah.
Either with the cover or the synopsis of the book, find a beer that matches with it, and then that's like your beer that you start drinking while you read it. And I think like that would be a really cool event of people that maybe don't want to necessarily interact too much with other people. And then maybe you could do that whole thing of like, okay, now let's talk about it after at X time. If you want to stick around, everyone can talk about what they've read so far in their books and how they're liking it so far, and would they recommend it based on what they've read in an hour or something. I think that could be really cool as an event to run at a tap room, just personally. Going back to the pricing thing, like, so there was a few different like really, really cool pricing things that I'd come across before. I think I've talked about this before, but there was a bar in Reading, and when I was Googling it as well, other places have done this as well, that it does like a silent stock market. So like on the screen, you would see all the different drinks that were there. And basically the more people, so it starts off where the lowest price that you have is like the manufacturer retail price, like that MRP price. So it doesn't really drop below that. So it's not like they're necessarily, depends on the place, but one of the places is like, that's the lowest they do. Other places maybe drop lower. I don't know. But the more people buy that drink, the more the price increases for that drink. And the less people drink that drink, the more it drops. And that was, I was talking to Rick about this earlier, because I was like, have you seen any cool ways? Like I was talking about it over dinner, like, have you seen any cool ways that bars have done that? And he also mentioned it because he was at the bar with me when we saw this happening. And it was so fun because it was like a little stock market view on the TV, and you'd be like, do I want to get this drink now? Or like, should I hold off? Like, is it going to get cheaper? Like, I don't know. And granted, it wasn't with beers, it was with cocktails. And, you know, it wasn't just beers. There was beers, ciders, cocktails. And then like all of a sudden at this particular bar, they'd be like, snake bites are, you know, £1, and you'd be like, go like, buy like 3 of them, we're drinking snake bites for the next 3 rounds.
Do you know what, actually I was in a bar in Yakima, and it's a bit of a well-known dive bar, and we were out there for a colleague's birthday, and we were singing karaoke, but every hour the DJ would, like, the karaoke DJ would get whoever was next up to sing had to spin a wheel, and whatever it landed on, that was $1 for the next hour.
I love that. I love that so much.
So it was like, you know, bloody blah shots, like Jello shots are now $1 for an hour. This drink is now $1 for an hour.
I love that so much. And then I think like maybe you'll end up, I don't think you could necessarily do that with craft beer, so to speak, because I think like the more people buying, the more money you're going to lose on something like that. A dive bar, it works really well. But I love that idea of like the stock market of like, if you have that minimum price and then that's your bottom level price, like they all start off evenly, and then someone's like buying a drink because it's like cheap at that point, and they might not have chosen to buy that drink before, but they're like, I'll get it now. And then like that price starts going up, so then like something else that maybe isn't selling as much starts to drop, and then you're like, great, no, that's the cheap one, like let's go for that one now. And I feel like that's got to be a really interesting way to like do stuff. You'd have to have this bar, I imagine, had like lots of technology tapped in to know like what was with their systems and stuff. So I don't know if like the average craft bar could do that. But for me, that was arguably the most fun that I've ever had ordering drinks. And I still talk about it. And this was like years ago. And I would love to see that again. But similar to what you said, I've also seen people do spinning wheels. So I've seen it at like craft beer festivals or at tap rooms of, spin the wheel, you could win a sticker, or you could win a t-shirt, or you could win a free drink. And in a similar vein, I've seen like when I've gone to Japan, they've done like dice games where you have to get, you know, for example, a jumbo whiskey highball. Less about beer, more about like cocktails. When I've seen it, but I could see it implemented for beer as well. Of like, you have to get a bigger size beer, and it's a dice game where if you get XYZ type dice, you win and you don't pay for that drink. If you get ABC, you pay half price. And if you get, you know, QRS, like that's when you have to pay full price for it. And I think for the establishment, that's like, yes, they might have to give some things away for free, some things half price, but then you are getting a lot more people taking the risk of buying the bigger size drink that maybe they weren't going to buy.
Yeah.
And it's fun because it's I mean, obviously not for people that shouldn't be gambling, but it's like, it got Rick several times. Like he was like, all right, lock it in, get a whiskey highball. And then he'd like lose and then he'd be like, damn, now I have to pay full price for this huge whiskey highball. That was another approach I've seen. And again, in Japan, what's called like a gashapon, like so gacha machines, which are basically like gumball machines, is the best way I can describe it. Think of a gumball machine, but what comes out of it is like a mystery toy. And some bars that I've gone to have employed like this mystery thing where you put in your money, you get a prize, and again, it could be it's a free drink, it could be it's a sticker, it could be that it's a button, a pin, a badge, whatever you want to call it. So you're getting something for that money, but it's not always going to be a free drink. And that's an interesting way. 100%. Or they've done like claw machines. I've seen claw machines be used, and that's really cool. The Scottish brewery, that the dog one that we don't really talk about, they did a weather-based discount scheme once where it was like, as the price rose, their particular beer, they reduced their price of that. And like,
there was one point where you had
not for everywhere, but
if you bought in a grapefruit, you got their grapefruit beer free or cheap or something. Yeah, there was
I don't know about that.
There was
but
definitely a weird one at one point where it's like, if you bring in a grapefruit, then you'll get
the change in temperature one. I was like, that's about as much as I know.
Yeah.
And I guess that makes more sense than bringing a grapefruit, unless it was like we are brewing on location, bring us this fruit.
I don't know what happened with the grapefruits afterwards.
Garnishes.
Yeah,
interesting.
Lots and lots of garnishes.
I've seen loyalty card pricing, which is really nice as well. Like if you're a local resident and you're someone that goes there often, you could, you know, Elusive has it. Like if you're a person that's gone there and you've got a card, you can get like 10% off. Or like other spaces. And again, this might be that same Scottish brewery. I can't remember if it was them or someone else, where they were, you know, using that brewery as a third space. So it was like, if you're working from there as your third space, you know, office situation, you'd buy a coffee and then you'd get free refills for the whole day. And then your first beer in the afternoon would be a free beer.
Yeah.
Which that's like a nice way to encourage people, I think, potentially to come in when they maybe normally wouldn't if they're work from home people. And then the last one I have is not about pricing, but I thought it was fun as a nerd myself. At Disruption, which is now Chaos, they had a roll. If you can't pick what you wanted to drink, they had 20 tap lines and you would roll a D20, and whatever rolled on that D20 is what you'd just be like, cool, I can't decide what I want. They had a glass full of D20s. You'd be like, okay, great, let's just roll that. And then I guess that number's that tap line number is what I'm having. So I thought that was fun. And I was just trying to think of some other ideas, like you said, with the book club of what might get people in. I asked Rick, I was like, what would get you into a bar or a tap room? Like if it was a night of the week that you wouldn't normally go in, what type of event would get you in? And he was like, well, Elusive have their arcade machines, and he gamify it, basically. He was like, I will play those machines. I want top score. I want the best score. And if they basically told me, if you come in and you get the top score and you get a free beer or a takeaway beer or something like that, he's like, I'm in. I will sit and I will sit there. I'll drink and I'll play that game forever. To get a free, he will probably pay more in drinks to get one free drink that he's like, I'm not even bothered about, just so that he could be like, I did it and I got the top score. And then when we were talking about it as well, we were talking about like movie theme nights. Like if you have the ability to show movies, and I don't know how it works because there's a licensing thing. But if you're like, great, we're going to show this movie and it's just going to be played on a loop, or this trilogy or this series or whatever, we're just going to play it on a loop. We're going to have a beer that's named after that movie in some way. Doesn't even have to be tasting of like taste profile. Literally just named after it. Beer themed cocktails, encourage people to dress up. Hell, give a discount for dress ups. Rick's like, that would get me out. And I was like, that was what would get you out? And he's like, yeah, that would get me out.
That's what do you know how many movies I've watched from the middle to the end and then from the beginning to the middle? like a lot, because when you're on cruise ships, they put movies on the crew channels, but they just play on a loop for like the whole day. And so you'd come in and you'd be like, oh, it's at this point. And I've watched a lot of movies from the middle to the end, from the beginning to the middle, or in chunks, because you just catch it when you catch it. That's called watching it like a crew movie.
Well, that's what we were talking about. So we're like, even if you really like this movie, and like, let's say actually the music you chose to play in the tap room was a playlist based on that movie, and you can't actually even see the movie, let's just say you put the subtitles on and the movie just plays, and you pay attention when you want to pay attention to it. Like, he was like, that's enough to get me to want to go out. Like, if you've themed a night around a certain movie or movie series, and you're encouraging like me to get dressed up and to really get involved in it, and you named a beer after it and whatever else, like, even if I can't hear the movie, I will sit there and I will enjoy it. It's just like, he was like, that's something as a movie nerd that I would really enjoy. And I thought, yeah, that's actually a really, really good idea. So yeah, I thought
that was cool.
I did ask AI for some ideas. I said, pitch to me like I'm a dragon, like I'm a craft beer dragon. I said, pitch to us like we're craft beer dragons. Give us ideas of how you're going to do creative ways. I'm not going to read all of them because we're short on time.
Yeah.
But I'm going to read you a few and you can tell me about the idea if you like it. So let me pick some really good ones. What? They've pitched to me one. I don't even know what this means. I've not read any of these, by the way. I just went, pitch to me like I'm a dragon. Give me a good idea. And this is just to show how you can't be an event planner by just asking ChatGPT to do things for you, because it's not going to work. I think you can attest to that.
I can.
I would attest to that. That's not the way to approach it.
No.
Okay, I'm pitching to you the event planner. Why don't you do a taproom time shift? The concept, same space, different energy blocks throughout the day. No events, no themes, just subtle shifts. And then this is how it works. Lighting, music tempo, menu framing changes at set times. Afternoon, low volume, softer light, laptop friendly beers. Early evening, social, brighter, food forward. Late evening, warmer lighting, slow music, dark beers, smaller pours. Staff language shifts too. What does that even mean?
You had me up until in the evening we're only going to do dark beers. I mean, I like a dark beer, but
darker beer, smaller pours.
Yeah, darker beer, smaller pours. Like you had me until then, and then language shift.
Language shift. But then it says wide'll be a hit. Makes the tap room feel bigger without expanding, encourages multiple visits in 1 week, solves the dead hours problem with happy hour pricing, which it never mentioned, feels grown up, not performative. It's mood design, not marketing.
No, disagree. Hard pass.
Okay. Can I interest you in the not for everyone board?
Sure.
Concept. A small section of menu openly tells people what they won't like. How it works. Each beer includes a line like, not for people who hate bitterness. If you want something crisp, this isn't it. Too weird for most. That's not the point. Why it will hit. British humour thrives on honesty and self-awareness, reduces returns and disappointment, builds credibility fast. People choose it because you've worn them. Nothing sells confidence like telling people they might hate it.
I mean, I quite like that one.
I actually really like that one. I'm not sure it had me on the name where it was like, this is the not for everyone. It was like, now here's a concept. You tell people what they won't like. And then as it went through, I was like, actually, I quite like that.
Actually, yeah.
Let me pick one more really good one. I don't even know what this means. It says, if I had to back just one, so this is it. So it's said that if it had to back one idea to give me, it would be what is called the third pinter problem. Now let me scroll up and find that. The third pinter problem solver. Concept. The taproom actively helps customers decide whether they should have another drink and what it should be. How it works. After 2 pints, the customers scan a QR and answer 3 playful questions. How are you feeling? Still chatting or winding down? Eating or not eating? The system recommends a lower ABV option, a half, a non-alcoholic, or a specific beer designed as a finish strong, not messy pour. Why it will hit in the UK. Speaks directly to modern British drinking culture and moderation without moralising. I don't even know what that means. Builds trust. You are not pushing volume. You're curating nights out. Encourages longer stays and better last impressions, and feels quietly responsible without killing the fun. This is hospitality with emotional intelligence that's rare and valuable. How do you feel about that one? That's actually really...
I don't like the name, but I quite like the concept.
I like aspects of it and I don't like aspects of it. So what I don't like the name, that's got to go.
Yeah.
What I don't like is that it has to be after 2 pints. What I would really like is just an ongoing... Now, I know this takes tech. This is like if you had endless budget and technical knowledge. I like the concept. I don't know what I want.
Your last drink. You're coming up to your last drink. Like, it doesn't need to be after 2 pints. Could it not just be your last drink?
But I think this is just saying, like, after 2 pints, do you need another one? Yes or no? I kind of like the concept of, yes, you could ask your bartender. You probably should. But I kind of like the aspect of, like, answering questions that are, like... I don't like the ones they gave as the option, but maybe, like, asking more quirky questions of, like, pink or blue. But, like, I don't know, like, just active, lazy. Like, I don't know, like, how are you feeling? I don't know, something like that.
I like it based on kind of, like, your mood and stuff rather than just random questions. But yeah, it needs work.
I think we could workshop that and make it good.
Yeah, I think so.
I like that was the last one because that's like a divisive one. Yeah. So.
All right, well, that's the end of our trends and creativity at the start of 2026. Tori, if people want to talk to you about how this is the year of golden lager, where can they get hold of you?
I think I'd be less inclined to talk about the year of golden lager, and I'd probably be more inclined to talk to people about fun ideas that they can do in tap rooms and fun ideas of, like, how to pay for pints. So if you want to talk to me about those things, because, like, I'll have nothing to contribute to the year of the golden lager. I'm not going to lie to you. Nothing to contribute there. Or you want to recommend me tap rooms to go to, any of those things. You can find me on Instagram at adventures_in_hoptimism, or you can email me at adventuresinhoptimism@gmail.com. If you want to talk to both of us, like, I don't know, tell us about who decided to split the G. Was that Guinness? Was that someone else?
Decided on splitting the G.
Do you want a Guinness episode? Because, like, I kind of want to do one, but if you want one, message us on Facebook or Instagram at A Woman's Brew. You can email us at awomansbrewpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on our website at awomansbrewpod.beer, which is awomansbrewpod.beer. Joe, if people want to talk to you about reading books and drinking beer, where can they find you?
I mean, I will talk to you about that. Theme. I will talk to you about that all day. You can find me on Instagram. I am Love Beer Learning. If you want to talk about books, I'm Joanne_listens to books. But for beer, I am Love Beer Learning. I'm mostly on Instagram. I am on Facebook, but I'll answer you for sure on Instagram. You can also come to my website, which is lovebeerlearning.co.uk, or you can message me or you can email me at lovebeerlearning@gmail.com. All right, well, here's the trends in 2026. Let's see which one's coming.
I can't wait to see the end of the year. Cheers.
Cheers.